Hi, good evening, everyone, and a very happy Diwali to all of you. And thanks for joining in spite of being a big day for a lot of us. And uh, yes, one second. Okay, here we are with Madhumita Bishnu, or Madhu, as she is called by all Rotarian friends from all over the world. Uh, Basically, a Calcutta resident or Kolkata resident. And as Rajiv already mentioned, she's a member of E-Club of Melbourne, RIT 9800 Australia. Madhu is a member of several Rotary fellowships and action groups. She is the chair 2020-2022 for Educators Fellowship, past chair of Roti, very interesting name, which is actually Rotarians on the internet, between 2017 to 2019. She's also part of Rotarian Singles Fellowship, President-elect and VP of East India and Bangladesh of International Travel and Hosting Fellowship. She joined ITHF in the year 2001 in San Antonio during Recon, has been a speaker for the same fellowship uh, in breakout sessions in the year 2017. She also is part of Genealogy Fellowship, member of Environment Fellowship for Rotarians, social media director of International Fellowship of Rotarian Musicians, and she has got so many hats to her credit. She is also a member of Rotary action groups of MCH, authors and writers, peace, and also membership manager of Cruising Fellowship, a member of Bird Watching Fellowship, of course, Global History Fellowship, Gin Fellowship, and of course our own Wildlifers Fellowship, which is for conservation, and also a action group of family safety. Madhu has attended 25 Rotary conventions so far. That must be one record, I must say, since 1998, consecutively till date, both physically and virtually. She is a Rotary volunteer and is a TRF cadre member for basic education and literacy. She was a site visitor for three H projects on CLE at Manila in the Philippines and Dhaka in Bangladesh, Street Children's Education Program in Kisumu in Kenya, and Computer Literacy Program in Hubli and also in Pune. Madhu was the technical coordinator for education and literacy on behalf of TRF as cadre member between 2009 to 2012. She has worked for several matching grant projects and global grant project on microcredit, IOL, sanitary toilets, tubewell literacy program with clubs in US, UK, Australia, Denmark. So any of you want to apply for grants, please get in touch with her. Madhu has been a speaker in several Rotary conferences in India and speaker in several clubs of RIT 5170 USA. She has also been a panelist and moderator on various topics during several RI conventions. She is the Sergeant at Arms in all the RI conventions she has attended till now. I guess that's another record. Madhu, as a Rotary volunteer, has taught English in schools run by Rotary Agrabad in RIT 3280 in 2006 and school run by Rotary Chittagong Midtown in RIT 3280 in the year 2008, 2010, 2012 for 2 months each. Madhu has taught English in Guangfu Secondary School in East Taiwan and Dadu Elementary School in Central Taiwan in the year 2017-18 and between 2019 and 20 for 2 months. Madhu's experience on attending RI convention has been published in Rotary News India several times, and as Secretary of Rotarian Singles Fellowship in the Rotarian, the Rotary News and News Worker of RID 9800 Melbourne, Australia. As part of Bird Watching Fellowship, articles published in Rotarian magazine October 2020 issue also. Madhu is a Paul Harris Fellow +2 and bequest member +3. Madhu has done Masters in Islamic History from University of Calcutta and works in REACH, a school for mentally challenged children. Her hobbies include traveling, of course, photography, cooking, reading, and listening to music. So here we have our own Madhu uh, telling us about fellowships, a hidden gem of Rotary.
Thank you so much, Rotarian Gitanjali there, for that wonderful introduction. I'm very much honored to be part of this evening's program. Thank you so much, Chair Sanjay, for inviting me. And it's always interesting to share on Rotary Fellowship. So just to give an example that how did this topic come about? While we were having a convention in Lisbon, in 2013. Then the chair of the Singles Fellowship, Trish from UK, suddenly said one evening that there would be a breakout session in future conventions where fellowships members can attend and can share on fellowships. So Trish said that he has thought about a topic which would be fellowship, a hidden gem of Rotary, because there are several Rotarians who, in spite of attending Rotary international conventions, Rotary conferences, are not very knowledgeable on Rotary fellowships. Everybody has their own idea as to what is fellowship. So the topic was very well accepted by RI. And so 3 times in a row, we had that breakout session, and every time we had between 200 to 300 people attending the session. And it would be for 1 hour at least. Sometimes it did cross more than 1 hour because people had a lot of questions. People were very keen to know on the various fellowships. Of course, from the time we had these sessions until now, a lot of Rotary fellowships have increased in numbers. So I would just share some of it. I cannot share about all because as I'm not member of all 96 fellowships. Gitanjali, the next screen, please. So just to give a brief idea, what is the fellowship all about? The fellowship are Rotarians who, in spite of being involved in a lot of community service and international service work, would like to be a part of some recreational activities where it would be hobbies which would lead a group of Rotarians to share and to learn. That was the way the fellowships came about. And so it is hobbies, sports, vocations, Rotary history and culture, and recreational activities. Not every time would all Rotarians be like to be involved in community service and international service. Some Rotarians just like to be a part of Rotary for the enjoyment of fellowship. And so that's how it came about. Of course, at the moment, Rotarians, Rotary alumni, anybody can be a part of fellowships. It is no more restricted to just to Rotarians. And that is really a good thing. And so that is the current scenario. But when it started, it was only restricted to Rotarians. The next slide, please. So just to read out once more, Rotary Fellowships are international, independently organized group of Rotarians, family members of Rotarians, and participants and alumni who share a common hobby, recreational interest, or profession. Rotary Fellowships are members of the opportunity to have fun, make new friendships around the world, and enhance their experience in Rotary. This is all that is there to the Rotary Fellowship. The next slide, please. So as our current RI President's theme is to serve, to change lives. So I feel that through fellowships, we can definitely serve to change lives. I mean, there are fellowships where we do not do any kind of service, not related to community service. It is basically just having fun. So just to give an example, that Singles Fellowship. Now for Singles Fellowship, just to give an example that how it came about, one of the Rotarian from California became a widow and in 2009, and she approached the district governor to say that people attending the conventions are always couples or families. There are hardly single Rotarians who attend. So what will happen to the single Rotarians? And so the district governor said it's a very good point. And so the fellowship came about that single Rotarians, and it is not a matchmaking area, but it's just Rotarians who are single, can be a spinster, a bachelor, a divorcee, a widow, a widower, not a problem, would become a member. And if any Rotarian would get married during the time of being a member of that fellowship, would have to leave the fellowship. And we've had such experiences where Rotarians holding positions in the fellowship have married and they had to leave the fellowship. So then this fellowship really doesn't raise any money to do any community service. It's basically, the idea was that nobody should feel lonely. And so when it's single Rotarians staying in a hotel together, having the breakfast all together, enjoying the evening programs during the conventions together, and just having a wonderful time as a group. So that's how this fellowship came about. And there is absolutely no, though it's $20, that is the fee to be a member, but that $20 is not for doing any kind of community service project. So this is the reason I said that it is just to change lives, because I've made trips with single Rotarians in Malaysia, and it had just been a wonderful time that I had after the Bangkok Convention in 2012. So it was a Rotarian from Melbourne, Australia, a Rotarian from Drobak, Norway, and myself. Three of us, we flew to Kuala Lumpur, and we had a wonderful weekend together. So that was just the idea the fellowship is all about. And I think that this RI theme for this year really is a very befitting theme for the fellowships. The next slide, please. So just to give the examples with some photos of the fellowships, I haven't shared all 96 fellowships photos, but just some of them. So one is Railroad. The Rotarian who's the chair is from England. And there is for magicians. So, there are Rotarians who are magicians by profession. So that's a reason this fellowship has come about. And I think that's very interesting that, we have a fellowship for magicians. The next slide, please. So how would one join the fellowship? Of course, you would go to www.rotary.org and you would look for fellowship under programs. You would look for fellowships and you will get the details. Of course, you can type in, like, to give an example, wildlife conservation. If you were to just type in wildlife conservation, immediately the website would come up. And then you can just click onto it and you can straight away join, click on join, and then, become a member. So that's the way you can be a part of the fellowship. The next slide, please. So just to share some photos, the first one, we recently had a trip to Gopinatham and I had a wonderful time. Of course, I'll share that experience a little later, but this is just to share the whole group that we were. We were 18 of us, and not all were Rotarians. Most of us were Rotarians, but there were some of us who were not Rotarians. And I am sure they would very soon join Rotary. There's no doubt about it, because they enjoyed so much. And so this is a group photo with two kids we had amongst us, and one was in Interact, and the other one, I think, would help to start an Interact in her college. So this was a great fun that we had. I especially thoroughly enjoyed being a part of this trip. The next one is the Travel and Hosting Fellowship. And just to give an example, that I never knew anything about Rotary Fellowship until 2001. I became a Rotarian in 1999, and after 9 years of Rotaract in Calcutta. And then what happened was there was a past district governor, Bharat Reddy from Nellore, 3160. He came to District 3290 for addressing on a topic, and I hosted him. And he said that, why don't you join Travel and Hosting Fellowship? This is one of the best fellowship. And I got all the details from him. And I was so interested that in 2001 in San Antonio, when the convention happened, I was formally inducted into the fellowship. And I tell you that from 2001 until now, I've joined several, but Travel and Hosting Fellowship continues to be one of my favorite fellowship. So what we do, what is the concept? The concept is that anybody can be a member. For 1 year, it is $55, and for 3 years, it's $75. So you can host in any way. It need not be a full hosting. I mean, just to give an example, if I were to go to Bangalore and I look up the Rotarians ITHF members who are there in Bangalore, and then I email all of them, and then maybe some of them might respond, or maybe one person might respond. And one person might say, welcome to Bangalore. You're more than welcome to come. And but, I cannot host you fully. I can just invite you for a tea or a cup of tea or coffee. That is absolutely fine. Or that person can say that I can invite you to our club meeting. I can take you to some local sightseeing. So you are a cultural ambassador from your district, and you are going to another place where you are getting the in-depth knowledge, which would not be restricted to only touristic and something more than tourism. So you when you're fully hosted, then that's the very big advantage. And I've hosted several Rotarians from various parts of the world in my house. I have been hosted several times. So this is just an example that, the lady on the left, Sita, she is from Kathmandu, Nepal. And she actually is hosting these two Rotarians in her house, and they are having a traditional Nepali meal. So thali rather. So that's the wonderful aspect of this fellowship. So that's just a photo of that one. The next slide, please. Now, just to give an example of these fellowships, a beer, cruising fellowship, chess fellowship, because it's also sports, and the singles fellowship. Now, to share a fun part of it, that in one of the Rotary International Convention, I was sitting in the singles fellowship booth, and in the House of Friendship, what happens is one entire area is for Rotary fellowships and Rotary Action Group. Now, earlier, RI used to charge $100 to give a booth, but since many years now, RI has stopped charging, and so any fellowship or any Rotary Action Group can have a booth, can apply for a booth, and the booth given is for free. So here I was sitting in the singles fellowship. On one side of the fellowship was the beers fellowship, the other side was the whiskey fellowship, and adjacent to the whiskey was wine appreciation. So you could imagine the amount of crowd that was there was just mind-boggling. Everybody is all in jovial mood and enjoying the fellowship, meeting new people, discussing on wine, discussing on beer, discussing on whiskey, and coming in and peeping into singles fellowship and finding me all by myself in the booth. So it was absolute fun. So that was beer fellowship. The cruising fellowship, I have done 2 Rotary cruise. One on River Danube and one on River Rhine. So 2019 was in Germany, from Nuremberg to Luxembourg. And 2017 was on River Danube. So it was from Switzerland to Holland. And I had a wonderful time. So whatever money we had to pay for the cruise, $200 went to the polio fund. And that was our contribution towards the fellowship. And we just had a wonderful time. Though it was wine cruises, but it was not restricted to wine, because there were people who would prefer having whiskey or having other kind of alcohol. So it was every kind of alcohol was available, but it was basically a wine cruise. And the singles fellowship, some of us are there, I'm there. So this person who is bearded, he's Trish, he was the chair, and he was the person who started with this topic for breakout session, fellowship, a hidden gem of Rotary. And some of us are there during the Lisbon Convention. The next slide, please. So I would like to come to the Wildlife Conservation Fellowship. Now, I am into photography. I'm not a professional one, but I'm very keen on wildlife photography. And when I was asked by Chair Sanjay that whether I would like to be a part of this wildlife conservation, I immediately said yes, because I live in Calcutta, and not so far away from my city is Sundarbans, the largest mangrove forest of the world. And I'm in love with that area. I visit every single year. I mean, I do not know for how many years I've been going there. Once, definitely per year, sometimes twice. And I just recently, in the month of October, I went for a trip, and I did see Royal Bengal tiger. It just gives goosebumps, when one sees a Royal Bengal tiger in Sundarbans, because sighting Royal Bengal tigers in national parks all across India and sighting in Sundarbans is very different. So I immediately thought that yes, there could be a day when the Sundarbans will be at stake and it would not be there. And then the ecological imbalance will definitely be hitting us hard. So conservation of wildlife is very essential. And Royal Bengal tiger doesn't get its food very easily. One might not find in various positions that one might see the tigers in the national parks would see it in the Sundarbans. It's very unlikely. I mean, just the tiger would come on the bank of the river, that's very common, or swimming across the river, that's also very common. But to see with cubs, or to see with its kill, mating, is very unlikely. But of course, who knows, anything might happen. And basically, the tigers are man-eaters, because getting food for the tiger is very difficult. So wildlife conservation is something which really touched my heart, and I immediately said yes. So currently, we were chartered in 2020. We currently have more than 250 members from various parts of the world. Some of our members are in today's evening session. And because it was started on 5th of month, that's why the charter was given on 5th, and that's why 5th of every month we have a Zoom session. And so we do have people talking about on various topics. We've had Rotarians from Sri Lanka sharing, from Kenya. We've had several Rotarians speaking on various topics on 5th of every month. And when I was asked that if I would like to share on fellowships, I immediately said yes. So, and we do field trips. So I did not attend the first field trip that took place on behalf of the fellowship, but Gopinatham was absolutely an amazing one that I had. I mean, just to share that it was shared on WhatsApp group. And I thought to myself that I have to be there, because I've never met the Rotarians from District 3190. I mean, I know some of the Rotarians from 3190, but wildlife conservation, not all of them. In fact, I did not meet Chair. I did not meet the board member Gitanjali. I mean, there are several Rotarians who are part of this fellowship whom I've not met. And I thought this is a big opportunity, and I immediately said yes. And it could all happen because of Chair Sanjay and because of board member Gitanjali. I mean, I'm extremely grateful to both of them for ensuring that I can travel. I was hosted. I had a wonderful, wonderful time in the place. And of course, the place itself was being next to heaven. It was so good. There were 9 tents, and all 9 tents were was for us. We were 18 of us. And as I said, we were a group of Rotarians and non-Rotarians. So it was, I flew to Bangalore, and then from there, Gitanjali arranged for a car drop to the Gopinatham Mystery Trail. And then, of course, I reached one day before, and so I rested. And they arrived from Kurg, and then we all met up the next day morning, and then I got introduced to every single Rotarian, and we all had such fun, looking into the wildlife, seeing the wild elephants and, listening to the call of the sloth bear. So because sloth bear I've seen in Taroba, but that was just for a fraction of a second. And here we could hear the sloth bear growling. So that was really nice. And Gitanjali is such an expert on birds. I mean, I learned so much from her. So there were a lot of birds that I saw, and many of them were for the first time. So I really had a wonderful time. Next slide, please. And these are some of the photos. One photo is Gitanjali and Sanjay and myself. And another one is the whole group. So that place actually looks like, any foreign country. I mean, we do not need to go anywhere. Our own country is so beautiful. So we really had a wonderful time the day we did this trail in the morning. And so this is the group photo of ours. And any questions, if anybody would like to have, I'm more than happy to answer. Thank you so much. The last slide is actually having the website. Yeah. So please do join the fellowship.
Yes,